Then came a moment in Jaleel White's life that shook him to the core. Let me tell you, this is where the story becomes truly heartbreaking. It was when Michelle Thomas, the beautiful and talented actress who played Myra, Steve Urkel's girlfriend on Family Matters, was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of stomach cancer. You won't believe how strong she was. Even when she was sick, she kept working, kept smiling, kept making people laugh. But here is the shocking part. Her illness came out of nowhere. She was young, she was full of life, and suddenly this disease started stealing her strength. Destiny took an unexpected turn when, in December 1998, at just 30 years old, Michelle passed away. Let me tell you, this was how tragedy came crashing down on the set of Family Matters. The laughter stopped, the set felt quieter, and for Jaleel, it felt like the world had stopped. This is where it gets interesting. They weren't just co-stars, they were friends. He was born in a quiet place called Culver City, California, on November 27th, 1976. You won't believe that this boy, who later became a huge television star, started acting when he was only 3 years old. Let me tell you, this is how it all began. His preschool teacher noticed how much energy and talent he had, and she encouraged his mother to let him try acting. So he appeared in commercials for popular brands like Jello, Kellogg's, and Goodyear. No one could have guessed that this little boy would one day win the hearts of millions. But here is the shocking part. At first, he didn't get any big roles. He was just a kid appearing in ads in small TV shows like The Jeffersons, where he played a piano prodigy named Tiffany. At that time, no one called him a star. He was just a boy doing his best to make people smile. In fact, he tried for the role of Rudy Huxtable in The Cosby Show, but the character was changed from a boy to a girl, and he lost the chance. Yet, he didn't give up. Destiny took an unexpected turn when, in 1989, he was called for a one-episode guest spot on a new show called Family Matters. This is where it gets interesting. The role was very small, meant to be done and forgotten. The character's name was Steve Urkl, a nerdy boy with big glasses and suspenders, a strange walk, and a squeaky voice. At first, no one thought much of it. Even he didn't imagine that this role would be talked about for years. What makes this story different? It was meant to be a tiny role, a joke for one episode, but suddenly people started loving him. They liked his awkward smile, his strange voice, and that famous line, "Did I do that?" The craziest part was how quickly he became a household name. The character of Steve Urkel was soon the biggest reason people watched Family Matters. Suddenly, a shy boy named Jaleel White was the biggest star on television. But here's the shocking part. While he was making people laugh every night, he was fighting a quiet war inside. As Steve Urkel became more popular, Jaleel felt trapped. The role became bigger than him. The show became about Steve Urkel, and it started to feel like this character was swallowing him whole. He worked hard every day. He went to school. He acted in front of the camera. But inside, he felt scared. He felt that people would only remember him as the boy with the glasses, as Steve Urkel, and nothing more. Let me tell you, he was only a teenager when this happened. He felt like no one could imagine him doing anything else. Even when he finished high school and graduated from UCLA in 2001, he still felt like Steve Urkel was chasing him everywhere he went. This was how a boy who started with a simple role ended up as one of the biggest stars in the world, but with a pain that no one could see. After Family Matters became a huge success, things started to change for Jaleel. Let me tell you, this is where it gets harder. At first, he felt proud. The character of Steve Urkel made him famous. He was winning NAACP Image Awards and a Young Artist Award. People stopped him on the streets. They smiled when they saw him. But here is the shocking part. This character that gave him so much love was slowly taking away his freedom as an actor. He wanted to do more. He wanted people to see him as more than the boy with the glasses and suspenders. What makes this story different? It was how quickly he was put into a box. The entertainment industry only wanted him for one thing, to be Steve Urkel. They refused to imagine him in any other role. Even when he tried out for movies and auditions, the doors started to close. The craziest part was that every person he met said, "Oh, you're Steve Urkel. Do the voice." And that was it. They didn't ask about Jaleel White. They didn't ask about the man he was growing into. Then came the moment when he felt like he was drowning. Destiny took an unexpected turn when he gave an interview in 1999. In that interview, he spoke from a place of pain and frustration. He said, "If you ever see me doing that character again, take me out and put a bullet in my head." You won't believe how quickly the media jumped on that statement. Let me tell you, this is how things got darker for him. The press twisted his words, making him sound ungrateful, making him sound like he hated the character and the people who loved him. But here is the shocking part. It was never about hate. It was about feeling trapped, about being 21 years old and wondering if he would ever be more than Steve Urkel. He felt like he had no voice, no chance to show the world who he really was. What makes this story different? The fact that a character meant to make people laugh had become the biggest obstacle in an actor's life. Then came a time when he began to find balance. In 2011, he spoke openly about that dark moment. He said the words weren't meant to hurt anyone. They came from a place of desperation, a cry for help. Slowly, he started accepting that Steve Urkel was a part of him, a part he could never erase. But it came with scars. Let me tell you, he knew the world might never forget Steve Urkel, but he refused to let it define the rest of his life. This is where it gets interesting. Despite the pain and the stigma, Jaleel refused to disappear. He came back with a new strength. He acted in films like Big Fat Liar and Dreamgirls. He tried roles in shows like House, Psych, and Castle. The craziest part? Even when people refused to forget Steve Urkel, he refused to forget himself. He kept going, kept trying, kept working harder every year. What started as a role that felt like a prison became a lesson, one that shaped the man he would become. After all the heartbreak and struggles, life gave Jaleel one more test, one he never saw coming. Let me tell you, this is how it happened. In the mid-2000s, Jaleel found himself in a relationship with a woman named Bridget Hardy. They had a daughter together named Somaya, a little girl who became the biggest light in his life. But here is the shocking part. What started as a hopeful chapter quickly turned into one of the darkest moments for him. The craziest part was when the relationship ended and a bitter custody battle began. Suddenly, Jaleel was thrown into a storm of accusations and media attention. You won't believe how quickly the world started looking at him differently. The same man who had made millions laugh as Steve Urkel was now being accused of hurting the mother of his child. Let me tell you, this was how the pressure felt, like a weight he could not escape. What makes this story different? It was more than a fight for custody. It was a fight for his name, for his reputation, and for the right to be a father. In court, under oath, he admitted to an incident that changed how people spoke about him. The media exploded. Headlines came from every direction. Suddenly, he felt like a man standing on the edge of a broken bridge with nowhere to run. But here is the shocking part. Through all of this pain, all of this heartbreak, Jaleel refused to give up. Destiny took an unexpected turn when he decided that no matter what the world said, he would be a father for his daughter. Let me tell you, this was how he learned to fight. Not for fame, not for applause, not for a character he once played, but for the little girl who called him dad. Through the years, he kept working, kept showing up, kept trying to prove that he was more than the labels placed upon him. What makes this story different? It is that this is not a story about a fallen star, but about a man who refused to stay down. The boy who started as Steve Urkl grew into a man who learned to accept himself, learned to love despite the pain, and learned that every chapter, the glory, the heartbreak, the struggle, came together to make him who he was meant to be. Today, Jaleel White stands as proof that no matter how hard life hits, you can rise again. You won't believe how many times he came close to breaking, and yet he chose to stand tall. Let me tell you, that is the true lesson from this story: the strength to keep going, the heart to keep loving, and the courage to keep believing in yourself. In the end, that is what makes Jaleel White's story worth telling, worth remembering, and worth sharing.